Hey, my man.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, excellent. Really good.
How's things?
Yeah, I've had an awesome week, really.
Yeah, nice. Nice one.
Yeah, met up with a number of new dads and just really been interacting with new people online as well. And yeah, just really enjoying meeting new people. And I've sort of been reflecting on it a bit. And the thing of obviously, I've had a lot of changes in the last year, having my daughter and also my mindset, and just going into new friendships, being 100% myself and transparent. And yeah, the level of freedom around that, I think, of not pretending to be someone you're not, or only showing part of yourself, just 100% from the start, being myself. And yeah, it's feeling really good.
Mate, I don't think I need to add to that. How good does it feel?
Yeah, yeah, great. So yeah, really, I've almost been walking on clouds, which I know
Yep.
in a way it's only a small thing, but in another way it's also a massive thing.
It's a massive thing, actually.
Yeah,
It's massive. I think I summed this up with my group of clients last night. Every Tuesday night at 7 p.m., we have like our group call. And easiest way to sum it up is kind of like, it's so simple that we complicate it. And then when we do it, we wondered why we took so long.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
And then once it hits you, once, you're like, I'm never going to live a different way anymore.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. And so yeah, man walk started back this morning.
Oh yeah, how'd you go? How'd you go?
Yeah, good. I only had the one bloke who's one of the new dads I've met, and
Yep.
so he and I just had a walk and talk in cold, drizzly rain, and cut it a bit short and went for a coffee.
Yeah, nice.
But that
That's
was
all that
good.
counts, man. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and a few other dads have said they're hopefully coming next week. They couldn't make this week, but hopefully there'll be a few more of us next week.
Yep.
And then also, as I mentioned in our hobby video a while back, I've got a bit of an interest in Dungeons and Dragons, but haven't really played for a long time. So I threw it out in my local Hobart Dads group. Anyone want to play? And I got a group that are going to give it a crack. So
yes.
Yeah, that'll be
nice work, mate. Nice work.
Yeah, nice, relaxing thing to do, and feel up a bit of my nerdy passion, I guess.
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah, so that's good. Yeah,
that's really good, man. That's so good. That is so good. So tell me about your idea. Tell me about your idea today. Whoops.
So yeah, what I want to talk about today. So I started listening to a new podcast, which is called the Dad Edge podcast, which I don't know if you got a chance to listen to that episode.
I've had a few this morning, so I didn't get a chance to get there.
No, that's all right. So yeah, for anyone that happens to listen to this back, I'll put the link for the particular episode.
Yeah.
I just literally searched Dad podcasts in Spotify to listen to something on my long run on Sunday. Yep. This one came up and I listened to a few episodes and I really like the content they've got. Basically, it's a bloke who admits he's just a normal dad, but he's always trying to move forward in being a better dad and I guess a better person all round. And he even talks to different people on that topic. And this particular one was about ways to improve your connection with your kids. So yeah, I thought I could quickly touch on what they talked about and then sort of add our own stuff to it and discuss our thoughts around it.
I think it's a really good idea. Absolutely.
So yeah, obviously it's interesting. Kids at different age, you're going to connect with them in a very different way was the first thing I thought about. Grace at her age and your boys, and then talking about teenage kids. It is going to change a lot through that age, those age groups. But the first two of their three tips they had were very much related in, I think they're mindset based. So it's about like most dads who work, they're coming home stressed at the end of the day, which is another whole conversation of doing something that doesn't stress you too much and doing something you love. But it's not always the reality for everyone. And even if you love something, it can be stressful or even even just switching off from it can be hard. So they discuss getting your mindset right at the end of the day before you walk back into your house.
Back in the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which some of the strategies were like, instead of listening to the news on your way home, which can be very negative and bring you down further, listening to good podcasts or audiobooks, uplifting stuff, or even just good music that gets you pumped up and feeling good rather than something that brings you down. And then even when you pull up in your car, just really stop, visualize how you want it to go when you walk in the door. Think about, just becoming switched on to your family, I guess, instead of work, and switching on your positivity and your happy face. So that internally getting yourself ready. And then the second was externally. So the rest of your family, when you're walking in the door, instead of walking in and, maybe head down, oh, I've had such a shit day, and grumbling about it and carrying on, walking in, crack a joke or put some music on inside the house, or do something silly, funny, grab your kid and throw them around, and uplift everyone else's mood when you walk in the door. It's really all around those two, all around mindset, which I think is something you and I talk about a lot anyway.
Yeah.
Getting in that positive, happy space.
I think that just really, that just really hit me in a way of like, there is so much mindset that I've got stored in my head that I share often, obviously, because of my lives, which I need to jump back on board with them. And that's clearly where your focus goes, your energy goes. So at the moment, I haven't put any focus at all into them because I've been so busy creating new programs, and I'm working with another organization called PCYC. Do you guys have you guys have a PCYC down there? So I'm working with the group in Canberra. There's 25 staff. I got a program with them. But what that also alluded me to is each week when we pick a topic, maybe it could be like a how-to something.
Yeah.
So then this becomes almost like, because realistically, Ryan, these could be the start of podcasts. That's how they work, right?
Yeah.
So this could be just like a collection of all these little things that we do now. We could collect, once you've got 12 of them, really, this is how they say it. It's like start to create a podcast, and then you put out one every week and you're always 12 in front.
Yeah.
And the idea behind that is then you've always got content ready, right? And you can just go, right, do we do the podcast daily? Do we do the podcast weekly? Is it fortnightly? Is it every 2 days? Is it? And then once, if we started creating these how-tos, we could do the same thing as that guy.
Yeah.
Because I think that everyone's got an audience and everyone's got a voice. So like, what a way to start promoting that, I guess, and start doing these how-to videos, because you and I then can share what we do and what are things that we've learned or implemented. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah. Because even, like I said, it all comes back to mindset, but saying that, then looking at how you implement that mindset in different situations.
Yes.
Sorry, Grace is getting into something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, go for it.
Maybe we won't play with that one. I'm going to sit and say hello to PJ for a minute. She's getting into my tea collection.
Hello, Grace.
So I think the last few weeks we have sort of
started to create something.
Yeah, we've also sort of freelanced a few of our chats and just which has been really good. But yeah, I think if we do bring a subject sort of back to the chat, would be really good. And into a bit more of a format for a podcast would be great.
Yeah, I think it's a cracking idea.
Yeah. So the other thing they mentioned, which is one really hit home for me because it is something I need to do better and I've been conscious of, but I still need to improve. And that is the time you spend on electronics instead of family time or during family time. And I imagine for you also it can be a bit hard because obviously you do a lot of your work off your phone and computer. So I don't know if you have any particular rules or strategies that you have for yourself around that.
Mine is I'm trying to do social media alone between 9 and 10 or 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I can't see anything that's stopping me. It's just the urge to pick it up. So for example, right, and I'm going to say this respectively to the audience, and I hope, those of you take something away from this. I sold my Apple Watch because I realized that the vibration on my wrist was making me then, someone else needs me. Someone else needs me.
Yeah.
And I love watches. So I thought there's two benefits to this. I thought if I sell my Apple Watch, I can go and buy a really nice watch that I've always wanted instead of having an electronic one.
Yeah.
So I sold it and I just ordered myself like a new mechanical watch. And when that arrives, like I'll share it with you next week because it should be due in the next couple of days. But that was the first step for me to really realize I'm standing in front of Zoom, maybe 3, 4, 5 hours a day. I'm looking at my calendar all the time. My programs that I deliver to people are on Kajabi, and that's a tool, that's a website which has got a funnel, which has got programs, and it's just in front of me. Like, I'll show you what this side of the screen looks like, so you could maybe share this. We can share this somewhere and just tag the idea of behind the scenes. So like this is what it looks like behind the scenes. And as you can see, like there's another iPad just underneath my main screen, which has got my calendar on it all the time. So I'm that's just where my calendar is. So if I need it, right? So when I'm, here, this is all I see. And then obviously when I do my lives, there's another 2 cameras up there. And then now I'm going to start doing more pre-recorded stuff. So soon I'm going to have like my GoPro set up over here and like all of a sudden I'm just going to be surrounded by cameras, right? But obviously moving forward for creating these programs, that's just the startup part. Once that's done, I can totally see myself putting dedicated times into, cool, today, like I've got a Zoom at 11:45 with Ryan. And before that, I'm just going to exercise and have breakfast and chill out, and check a few emails and that's it.
Yeah.
Like I can really see it changing. Like literally I can really see it changing in the next 3 weeks because I really want to execute this for the new financial year. And once that's done, like especially once my programs are online, the programs are going to be, and this is for the audience as well, the programs are going to drop by half price because I'm no longer going to be delivering them. But that also means that if you, want assistance with that as a coach, then that also drops my price because the program's already got it in there. And then you just get me as like a one-on-one phone call, like every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I don't see this, I see this world, just bring it all back to social media so I don't get too far out of my tangents. But like I see this world of these overpriced courses helping people evolve when podcasts are free, right? And if you want a coach one-on-one, it's like respectively, I only value my time at what I put on it.
Yeah.
So the more that I can pre-record and we can get out to fathers and say, hey, look, this is how to come home in a better mood. This is how to release energy.
Yeah.
And then once that's all locked in, and as I said, 3 weeks time, I can totally see myself changing the way I use social media because right now it's too much.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first off, relating to your tangent before I go back on topic. While you're talking about your setup and everything, I noticed that you always stand up. So that's something a conscious decision you've made to be standing rather than sitting all day.
Yeah. I couldn't. I remember when I was sitting, I was actually getting more tired because I was more relaxed.
Yeah.
But what I started doing, that's go grab it. What I started doing was I created this space so I could stand, and obviously that keeps me moving in my feet, keeps me standing up. It's better for my joints. Yeah. So, I mean, there's something that we could add there is we could tell fathers to, like how to create like a stand-up desk. And, if you're working online, like, I've got a fridge. I've got a fridge under that.
Yeah.
So there's a bar fridge in the dungeon, right? And then I've got some shelving space, and then I've got a little black box, and then the laptop. So like on this side of it, it just looks like a cool setup, right? But when I take a photo for you, it's like all the hidden gems are underneath.
A lot more going on. I've never had an office job, so the idea of having to sit down for hours at a time, for me, I couldn't think of anything worse. So I think if I was having to be at a screen for a long time, I think standing up would be the go for me as well.
It's totally, it's so much better.
Yeah.
So much better.
Cool. So social media for me, we overall no phones at the table while we're having our meals, which is something we've only implemented since Grace come, because obviously pre her coming along, we'd just sit on the couch and watch TV and eat our tea. But really love that family meal time, and it is something both of us from the beginning said we wanted to do with Grace, and just no phone, so we're really engaging in conversation. And another thing we do with my wife's family, which we've started even just doing, like when they come for tea, we've started doing the two of us with Grace, is a thing we call best, worst, funniest. And
yes, I like
go
this.
around the table and you say the best thing of your day or the week if we're seeing the family. The best, the worst, and the funniest thing of that time period. And so everyone's just sort of sharing a little thing about their day, and obviously conversations sprout and go from there. So that's sort of a bit of a family tradition we've grown with her family.
I do like that.
I think it's a really good, and I think implementing it with Grace now means when their kids are at that older age where they don't necessarily want to talk about stuff, or you just say, how was your day? And they're, oh yeah, all right. If from a young age she sort of got used to sharing those three things, hopefully it'll be something that'll stay until she is older. So I guess mealtime is a phone-free time for us. And I want to start implementing, like during the day when I'm with her, if she goes off and plays on her own, I'll often default to getting onto my phone and onto Facebook. And I want to stop doing that as much. Even though she's happily playing on her own, I want to start having fixed hours where I get on there. If she's happy on her own, even just reading a book instead of going on Facebook. So she's still doing her own thing. I don't necessarily have to be interacting with her if she's happy. But even at her young age, I think not always seeing me on my phone is an important thing. Seeing me read a book instead, I think, is a big difference. So that's something I'm consciously trying to change. And also the thing that you talk about in your stories of an hour before bed, no phone. I do try to put it down and actually read my book of an evening again, which I used to do and I had got out of the habit.
Yeah, so that's something new I want to do. Like, I just realized, like when you were saying that, like I've had this book here, and it's a very interactive book. Like you've actually got to write things down in the book. So it's sitting here, and I think I've read 10 pages since we last spoke, which was 7 days ago. And in my book, like that's that book, by the way. I think to myself, gosh, I read 10 pages of a good book every day, but like it's not consistent in the one book. Like if I read 10 pages in the one book there, that one to be finished. And then, do you know what I mean? So that's another thing that I really want to concentrate on, is things like that. But yeah, my biggest non-social thing as well is no social media at the table. So when the boys are having breakfast, you know, no iPads, no phone, you know, that morning time between sort of 8, sort of really realistically between 8 and 9, you know, it's a good conversational, or my son reads at the breakfast table.
Yeah.
And I like the way that you go the best, the worst, the funniest. When I talk to my son, I always ask him, what did he fail at today?
Yeah.
So I'm like, what'd you fail? What, you know, instead of saying like, what'd you learn? I always start with what'd you fail? You know, what'd you fail? And then like, I'll be like, did you try hard enough then? And he goes, oh, I probably could have tried harder. And then I'm just like, well, what'd you learn? You know?
Yeah.
So similar. I like that. I think it's a really good thing.
Yeah, you come at it from a different way there, which I think in a way it's sort of helping him realize that it's okay to talk about your failings, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Rather than most kids would probably only try to tell their parents the good stuff they did, I guess. Yeah, so I like that. Because we do all fail. It's what we learn from the failure that matters, isn't it?
Yep, sure is.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so I guess your boys are the age where it's not just you on social media or on electronics, it's also monitoring them, isn't it, to a degree?
Yeah, so, you know, my boys use it sometime before bed. Sometimes they're using it when they're not playing, like with their friends. There's actually quite a few times when they're using it, but I monitor more what they're doing on it.
Yeah.
So I really like my son now, he's 7. So he does a lot of the word games as well.
Yeah.
He's amazing at maths. Mate, I'm really proud of my son. He's really good at school. He loves school. So he loves learning already. He's very curious. He's very inquisitive. So he loves doing words. He loves doing numbers. He also loves Minecraft. Like, so that kind of, you know, and I've got it on the Minecraft where it's like the build stuff and the creative rather than the survival one. You know, there's a lot of things, that I try and monitor where it's like, if it's, look, as the audience listens to this, like if it's a shit game and it's not constructive at all, I just delete it. I'm just like, you're not having that game. It's not constructive, right? I like to have a game. If he's going to play games, it's got to be constructive. It's got to have some kind of, there's got to be an outcome to learning to it.
Yeah.
You know, and when he gets older, like he can choose the games, but I'm still going to have a lot of input to, if it's a shit game or if it's just about killing people, like I'm going to be like, no, mate, like it's a terrible game. Like, there's no benefit to that. Understanding it, there's no benefit, right? So, and I think that comes from now. Like I'm tuning him that way now.
Yeah. Like he will make that decision himself, I guess, as he's older. Like he'll appreciate the value of being able to get something out of the game. Yeah, and even like Minecraft, the creative and imagination side. Like as you say, it's not just a game of killing people. There is a using your imagination and creative side, even though it is essentially just a fun game for kids, but it's still
It's actually really, really awesome. Like some of the stuff that my son creates, like for example, the other day he had Minecraft, and you know how you can look yourself up as a character. So he created a giant one of him that stood like taller than the trees.
Yeah.
And then like he had to zoom out on the screen to see himself, but he's like, look what I made. It's like a giant me. And I was like, that is so cool that he took the time to put the blocks in the right places, and then the shirt and then the shorts and the colored, you know, change the colors. And he makes houses. He makes 2-story houses, and he makes stairs, and he makes balconies. Like he gets it. And I really appreciate Minecraft and that creative mode to understand that stuff. I think it's amazing.
I've seen a video where someone had created the Hogwarts castle from Harry Potter. Like, full scale. The time they must have put into that one is phenomenal.
Yeah. And that's what I guess I really like, because part of Minecraft is simple code.
Yeah.
And I mean, do you understand code?
Not overly, slightly, but not really, no.
I understand it's got to be double dots here and lines and stuff, right? I get that. Yeah, that's about as much as I get. But the thing is that he can look up codes and then type them in, and then they give him like a new thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these constructive YouTube channels have helped kids learn code. And my son, like when my son understood it, I think he was like 5 years old.
Yeah.
Like we didn't have code at 5.
No, it wasn't happening.
I barely had code at 15.
Yeah.
So when I think about, where this life can take us and where technology can take us, like especially because we're talking about devices, I love technology and I love the benefit of the devices.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a time where the phone is going to be almost like, well, I mean, look at it now, right? Wristwatches, they're already there. Google's trying to put them in glasses. Apple's already made headphones that you just basically wear 24/7. And it's kind of like AirPods, right?
Yeah.
So, and they've got hear through. So that means that if I'm speaking to you on the street and we go for a run, I'd have my earpods in and I can still hear you though. Right. And then I could hear if a phone call comes in, because my phone would vibrate, but it's not on loud, but it comes through the earpod. Right. So I can see the benefit of where it's going. And I think that technology is amazing as long as we stick to the benefit.
Yeah, that's it.
Because
it's got both sides of the coin, doesn't it?
Definitely. Because this is one thing, obviously, that you and I love alone is the bush. And the moment that we get to go on that hike, I can assure you that you and I would only have the phones out to take a photo. There'd be nothing else involved, if that.
Yeah.
So I'm also like you, is that I love the idea of putting it away to enjoy the sounds of the leaves crunching underneath your feet and, the wind and the birds chirping and that kind of.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that the other day. Like part of me is like, I should film it as a video series for my YouTube of the whole walk. And then it's also like, I just don't even want to bother with that as well. Like I just want to be out there. I don't want to have to worry about filming. And so I think.
Well, I thought about now, now that you said that, some of the things that I have thought about is, because I've got a GoPro and I've got the head thing as well, right?
Yeah.
So I thought about it. It's funny that frequency works that way. I think it's almost important for us to do it for the sake of explaining that we didn't want to do it, but the benefit of technology to do it is such a great idea as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because at least the GoPro is just video recording, whereas a phone is different, right? So you could actually put the phone away for emergency if there was emergency, right? But like to have, a solar panel to charge the batteries, and GoPro only lasts for an hour and a half anyway, or like 3 hours at maximum low resolution.
Yeah. And I've actually got an action camera as well. So
yeah. Yeah, right.
It's not a GoPro brand, but I do have one. Yeah. So I guess, if we set those up, we don't have to set and forget. I guess we don't have to worry about it too much.
Yeah. I just think it's such a benefit because I think that also we could make it as part of an adventure and a journey for future reference.
Yeah.
Because I guess there's always going to be more than one hike eventually over the years to come that we won't take them at all. So
yeah, that's true. And we'll be able to do one of these chats actually in person with us both on the same thing.
Oh, that's coming. That's coming. I told Nicole, I'm just like, that we've got to get to Tasmania one day. She goes, what? And I'm like, yeah. I said, it's happening.
Cool. So they're the three things they talked about on the podcast. The other two things I thought of myself, one was reading to your children as a way to connect to them.
Yep.
Which, I mean, obviously at Grace's age is very important when they can't read to themselves. But I often think, even when I was a bit older and I could read, my dad, like the Harry Potter series, for example, I told him I wasn't interested. which funnily I, at that age, read a book by its cover, and it was a boy standing next to a train, and I thought, I've got no interest in that. I had no idea it was about wizards and everything.
Yeah.
And he sort of, nagged me maybe over a few months that I think you'd really enjoy it, and I kept saying no. So he said, "Oh well, I'm going to read it to you." And I think he read about 2, maybe 3 chapters into it, basically until Harry finds out he's a wizard, and then bang, I was up half that night reading on myself and
exactly
going on my own. And even a few other series, I think my dad kicked me off on, even when I was old enough to read myself. He sort of, started, and even now it's still an important memory of me and my dad. So that's something that's very important to me to continue on with Grace, is the reading to her as a way to connect with her. And I think even once she starts reading her own thing, which actually goes into my next one a bit, is learning about your kids' interests, and whether that be sports or other hobbies. Like more than just taking your kid to soccer, for example, every week, even if you don't really have an interest in soccer, yourself learning the rules a bit to be able to talk to them about it. And even the movies they're watching and the shows they're watching on TV, to know enough about it to be able to talk to them about it. And also as a way to be monitoring what they're watching. If you've watched a bit yourself, and just to be able to engage with them. And I think maybe with teenagers who TV probably becomes a much larger part of their life, to have that common ground with your kids, I guess, is something I think is potentially, really beneficial.
Yeah, I try and read to my boys, especially the youngest one, because he's still 3, and he loves reading. They both love reading, so that's a huge benefit. Like I love reading, so they love reading, and I read to Vinny more on weekends, because obviously on weekends he stays up a little bit later, and it's kind of like a fun thing that we do. And then during the week he reads to me, so I make sure that he reads his school books to me. And the littlest one, he just joins in. It's just really fun, and I have noticed that one of the things that I need to do more is sit down with him while they're watching TV, so that at least I can just interact on their level with what they're watching, which I don't do enough of, to be honest.
I guess it's a hard one with the TVs. Like, you don't want all your time with your kids just sitting in front of the TV either. But
we try and go bike riding every day as well. So like they go on their scooters, and like that's more, I guess that's just another thing as well. Like I do love interaction with, books and writing and that kind of thing. But I also love like games and trampoline and we play catch. So I would really, I'd love that to do more.
Could always have more time to spend with them, I guess, couldn't we? Cool. I guess that, like the bike riding and the catch and that, isn't something I've thought much about yet, because obviously Grace isn't doing exercise, but certainly, as they get older, it's important to get outside with them. And I mean, already I do take her in the backpack for walks.
Oh, yep.
The last 4 days, it basically hasn't stopped raining here. It's terrible weather, so we haven't got a walk in. But we try to get at least a short one in each day with the dog. Which she loves, because she loves birds. So already getting outside, she just loves that interaction with nature as a 1-year-old, which is pretty awesome, and hope to continue to foster it over the years.
Yeah, that's really good. I remember taking our boys for hiking walks in those little front pouches. But I must admit, that's another thing I haven't done enough, is take them on a few hikes. We went to the Bungonia one, which is not far away from here. We just got to do more. Obviously with COVID, that stopped us over this time period. And now that it's back on, I'm not going to use the excuse that it's cold, but it is cold. And but we're gonna get back out there this weekend. We're doing a few things, so I'm looking forward to, just catching those moments again without the phone and just enjoying it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think in a way, COVID's, trying to look at the positives as we do as a bit of a reset and look at what are we doing differently coming out the other side.
Yeah.
Which obviously I've also had the big change of becoming the stay-at-home dad. So everything's changed anyway coming out the other side. But yeah, looking at it as an opportunity to form those new habits as we recreate our normal lives.
Yeah. Normal being the operative word there.
Yeah. Which it still isn't completely, but.
I love the way that it has changed so much though.
Yeah. I think there's lots of positives.
Very much so.
And particularly in Australia as a whole, but particularly for us in Tassie, where it hasn't got nearly as bad as other places in the world. So, just a bit of a reset, I guess.
I like that the reset button has been hit, to be honest.
And as I said right at the start of our conversation, the big thing for me moving forward and creating these new friendship circles is just 100% authentic me.
Yeah, that's really beautiful, man.
Big focus for me moving forward is just, there's no point not being me when I first meet someone and then either be stuck if I want to keep that friendship not being me or try to change to be me again. It doesn't make sense. Like creating new friendships may as well be me from the start.
Yeah,
and I now have
that's so nice.
That confidence and happiness within myself that, I'm happy and to do that. So.
Yeah. It's such a nice thing, and obviously that's where this has bloomed. And you've got your man walk now. That's going to just get larger. I'm talking to more people. It's always going to be the way that those that get too cold, they won't turn up. Our Tuesday morning was actually quite pleasant. Our Tuesday morning was actually quite pleasant, and we actually had less numbers than the week before. So it's always part of it.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be a bit quieter through winter because you have 20 people. Is that right? Or around that?
We usually get 10 every week without fail. Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So obviously, because we were really only just getting off the ground when everything ground to a stop. So it's going to take a while for us to sort of build it back up because it wasn't even really a habit for everyone before we stopped. So but I didn't walk alone today, so that was good. And
that's good.
I'm hoping there's going to be at least 4 of us next week, which will be
as long as you keep you keep everyone tuned in over the weekend, or if you this is a little trick about social media I'll tell you, is that if you post in a group every day, or at least something, kind of like what the Australian Dads Network does. It's kind of like one of those things that people will see it and be reminded by it, because obviously everyone's busy, and the more you do in that page, people will just see it, Ryan, and they'll be inspired to come along.
During COVID, I had intended to keep in touch through the group, and it was one of the things that fell away. I think I did one video sort of saying to everyone, hope you're going all right through it all, and I didn't keep it up. All right, well, I think this one wants some lunch. She's been very good today through our chat, playing on her own. How do you grizzle out of her?
Go and give us some lunch, and I'll send you this through as soon as it's done. I can't believe, mate, I'm really sorry about the mix-up from last week.
Yeah, for a minute there, I thought, don't tell me we haven't recorded it.
No.
But it was there, but that's all right. Really good chat today. I like that.
I really appreciate it.
Bit of structure to it. So.
And we'll think of another how-to during the week. And like these are always recorded. So, once we get to a stage where we can cut them up and we can just turn them into little, at the minute, you could turn it into a YouTube channel right now. So
Yeah, well, that's it on its own. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can just upload it the way it is, and
I cut up that little clip that I sent you yesterday, but
yeah.
I need to sit down and do a bit more of it.
How do you do them? What program do you use? Like
Just,
iMovie?
yeah, just on iMovie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was going to say, there's another one that I use called InShot.
Yeah.
There's another one called InShot. Where is it? Where is it now?
Is it a free one or one you got to subscribe to?
No, it's free.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so it's called InShot. And what you can do with InShot, I'm just trying to find it now. InShot. Okay. InShot, what you can do is when you go to the videos, you can add your own language. You can add it yourself.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, because the iMovie's like the text you can put in, it's pretty limiting, really.
Yeah, whereas InShot's a little bit better.
Yeah, cool. Because I do find it a bit frustrating. Like it's really just plain text, and even just moving it around the screen, you can't do. You've got to pick the setting that puts it where you want it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, yeah, I might give that a bit of a go. Particularly for those shorter videos, being able to throw some text up on them works well, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's so when you start to play around with InShot, it's so easy to use.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, and you'll really like it. So I'll leave you that with that.
Yeah,
go and give Grace something to eat, and then
that post I just remembered, the one you put up today with your angry face on. It took me a minute to realise it was you.
Yeah. So that was done in our that was done in my program when I learnt how to be a master NLP practitioner.
Yeah.
And what we did is there's a thing called incantations, and what you have to do is you have to open up, obviously, you have to open up your truth, right?
Yeah.
And when you open up with your truth, what happens is obviously you start channeling some of your energy. And this is really confronting, but like when you ask the universe for something that you want, what happens is when you really get it, when you really like, I really want a happy life. And then all of a sudden, right, you stand in front of someone face to face, and it's like looking in the mirror. Because our biggest fears sometimes is to tell another person, that we want something.
Yeah.
But when it's something so deep, right, you imagine, and this is what it is, right? Because I'm only a reflection of you and you're only a reflection of me. Because I only see in you what I like.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when you stand in front of someone you dislike, you only see them for the stuff that you dislike, but that's actually because you dislike it, not because of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you stand in front of someone, it's like you say to yourself, you know, I really want to be a loving father. I really want to be a loving father. And you say it like 20 times. Okay. You say it 20 times, but when you're looking in someone's eyes and then they turn around as if their society, right? So this is how you build inner resilience. When you're saying to them, I really want to be a loving father. And then all of a sudden, when you get to about number 15, you already start feeling emotional. And for the next 5, they turn around and say something like, do you? Do you really want that? And then it makes you really emotional, but it also makes you channel that energy source. And
Yeah.
when you channel that energy source, it's like they start saying to you after the 20th time, then show me how bad you want it. And it almost becomes like a push shove in a respective controlled environment, because all you're trying to do is tell what you want, like you want your truth. And in that environment, what happens is the other people around you, because there's actually 5 of them. I was just face to face with that guy in that moment when they took the photo.
Yeah.
But there's 5 people around you who are sort of giving you a light shove to say, then show me that you want it. Prove it to yourself that you want it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're bringing up your emotions on purpose, but talking about something you want in your life, not something that you don't want. And what that does, they're called incantations. You know, one day I'd love to share. Well, I can guarantee you when we go for a walk, we're going to talk a lot, right? These incantations are a way of like getting your physiology and your psychology aligned, right? Because you could turn around and say, yeah, I want to be a great dad, you know, but the difference between that and going, I want to be a great dad, and getting really emotional with it and going, what does a great dad mean to you?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when they start like giving you a shove going, do you really want it? It's like that's meant to mimic society and everything that society is going to throw at you.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when you start getting aligned with that, and then you start finding this inner passion, saying to yourself, I want to be a great dad. And then like, you're just like, no, I can be a great dad. And like really letting that energy out in a constructive way.
Yeah.
Right. And I call them shout rooms. I've had 2 successful shout rooms before, and the guys got a lot out of it. They actually, everyone really comes to tears at the end of it, but they find this inner alignment.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
And then from that, you know, you walk out the door going, I feel so much better that I cried about something that I really want to do. And I was pushed to a limit where I really was faced with what I want to achieve.
Yeah.
So it's very, very, very powerful.
Yeah. It sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of these, if you ever see, you know, like in dads groups where people go on retreats and they go to Bali and they do these retreats.
Yeah.
Some of the things that we've done on these retreats is like, you know, you go and walk out in the freezing cold water and you do what the Buddhas do, the monks do. And when a monk feels like that they've been disrespectful to themselves, what they do is they stand under a waterfall, right, completely in the nude as their punishment.
Yeah.
And they repeat their punishment. So could you imagine like someone who's not trained, someone like you and I, standing in the freezing cold water underneath a waterfall, hitting you on top of the head consistently, and you just repeating your punishment? Like all of a sudden, it's like when you walk away from that, it just brings up this inner, you know, like I'm getting emotional thinking about it, but like it brings up this inner, you're just channeling all this energy inside you to want to be a better person.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're facing your truth in front of other people, but those other people are only ever a reflection of you.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, man, it's very strong stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff that I guess we've got to talk about, and I'm glad that this is still being recorded, and Grace is obviously interested as well, but
Yeah, she's got my notebook there that's keeping her busy.
yeah, it's such a, there's so many things that masses of society don't see about how you can really find inner peace.
Yeah.
And, you know, what you were talking about with that father on the podcast about, you know, sitting in the car, letting it go, listening to something motivational. That's like the pinnacle start. If you can get someone to do that and do it consistently, you can open them up to this next channel of life. And what I mean by that is when you get to that level, you know, anger, fear, sadness, hurt, and guilt, doesn't even become a factor in your life because you can just channel away from it so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's sort of, you don't know you're missing it until you know it, sort of thing. Not
Yeah.
something people necessarily think they need until they give it a go.
Yeah. And when you give it a go, like, oh, Ryan, it's truly life-changing. It's like, honestly, this is a reason why I wanted to go on the walk in the Kokoda Trail, remember?
Yeah.
Because it was just purely about being out there raw with yourself mentally and physically.
Yeah.
And I've got no doubt that the overland in Tasmania will probably do that to us.
Yeah, I think it'll be similar. Just yeah, maybe not. Well, it's a pretty hard and long track still, but maybe not quite on Kokoda's level.
Yeah. I'm still looking forward to that mental state that you've got to get in still to wake up every day and do it again.
All right. She's starting to eat my knuckles, so I think it must be lunchtime.
All right, bro. It's good to talk to you again.
All right. You too, mate. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.